Okay, guys, hit that like, subscribe, custom build and play go mode. Today what I'm gonna be doing is soldering the XT90s on. Let me get these out so you guys really see. The XT90s on to a Lipo battery, which I already snipped the ends, got a little hasty, but first it was like this one here, Dean's plug. What I did was to the local hardware shop and got this solder here. And I'm gonna just roll it for you guys so you guys can see what it is. Very fine electric. Okay, and also it has, they're based in New Jersey, so if you're in New Jersey, you probably can get there and get that. But also it has the, if you actually look at it too, this has basically its own flux, fast acting too. So what I'm going to do is basically a quicker way, instead of having to go through all the other steps with the flux. And it comes in a nice little coil. Sheesh, I mean, look at this. So, I mean, this is my second one, and it has a nice little hole in the lid, whereas though you can just have it hanging through here if you don't have, the proper soldering station, which, as you see, I don't. But, as you see, what I started off doing was cutting one wire at a time, which that's the most important thing you could do when you're soldering. Especially, well, with these batteries, one wire at a time always. You'll get that shock. If you snip them both at the same time, then you'll end up with a shock you don't want. So what I did was snip the one off, and I took it and snipped, and then I snipped. Oh wow! And then I snipped off the end. So that was good. Same way I did that. Then once I snipped that one off, I pushed this one to the side and just bent the other one off, clipped the other one off. So now what I'm going to be doing is actually preparing to put this back together. So this is a 10 gauge wire. Most of these are 10 gauge or so. I'm thinking of 12 gauge, yeah. And this here, same type of insulation, or however you want to call this. It's called shrink wrap, but some people call it insulation, though some people call it other things. So to each his own. And I do just cut a nice little piece off, because what it's going to do, it's going to go in. Once you put this on it, solder everything and connect your wires, you just want to slide this up and it'll fit right over. And then you bring your cap up and fasten your cap on. This is why I like these here, because they have the cap. I have a connector without the cap, and as you'll see why I don't like these, they're pretty much exposed. So, and you see how the water can just ride down your wires and sit right in there. Now, you can't probably see on the angle, but I see shiny goldish in there, so that means the metal is exposed in there. So that's where I'm coming away from. And you can see the other end on XT60s, same thing. So I'm not sure if XT60s come with this type of connector on there, but hey, you might want to give it a try, guys. I haven't used those. I just go from the Deans all the way to the XT90s. So, and another thing that I do different from everybody, guys, don't worry about how I do mine, but just make sure you do yours the proper way, or make sure you pay attention to where you solder, because you do have a female and a male end. So, female, male, female, male. So, what you would do is, like I said, you don't have to really do too much of anything with this. You can just sit it on there. Get it a little hot. Get your piece a little hot here, and steps. I'm just going to stay quiet and just do it and let you see exactly what I'm doing. Everything that I'm doing is for safety and also so things move correctly. Okay. Now the last thing that I'm going to say is I do put the I do flip the connectors around on all my RCs for the battery connectors. That way, it's a little security measure. Heck, whatever. Depends on where you are. So you make sure you have everything lined up how it should be. If you're going to have a negative, if you're going to switch them around like I do, then you make sure you switch them around. So let's get started. Okay. So usually when people do this, usually when people do this here, and this is how I connect mine, so this is just my way. So this is how the charger is that I have here. So let me move this over safety wise. This is the charger that I have here with a bunch of different adapters or plugs into the charger through here. But this is the connector that I'm using. As you can see, I put this connector on here. So what I did was made sure red side was flat. So I started with my red. Well, I made sure I got that corrected. I just started with my red. So that's the only thing that I just wanted to say to you guys about this here, because this is what I do. Don't do this if you're not going to keep track of what you're doing with these things here. Make a nice little pool. Cool it off. And then you can also flip it over on the other side. And do the same thing to the other side, a nice little pool. Okay. And once you get it on, you just smooth it in there a little. Spread it around in there. Spread that one around in there now. So now, you take your connectors and you get everything prepped and ready. So you slide this down on here first. Always slide those on. It's two, so you make sure you get them both on, because you don't want to solder and find out that you don't have these in there, and then you have to take it all back apart. So step one. Because I've done it, guys. It's a real simple mistake. It's nothing to get aggravated about. It happens. And it's just like it happens. So I'm going to take this here, the shrink wrap, slide it over, and slide it down much as possible, guys, much as you can, because when you add heat to the wiring, it'll shrink it wherever it is. So, hey, set it on. Okay, so I push it all the way down. That's far enough out the way. Okay, next piece. Now, usually you would use two different colors, red and black, red and black, red and black, two separate colors. But this is all I have right now, so I'm just going to run with this color, these two blacks here. I'd have one piece I just cut in half. So really all I have is black right now. I don't have the correct colors. So, yeah. And you can touch the wire all you want, guys. This is not going to do anything to you. Just don't touch both. This video is not for kids, because to me get some hold of this video some kind of way. No, you're on the wrong page for right now for this lesson here. You can watch the other videos, but this lesson is just not for you. If you got on this page some kind of way and access to this video. So you just heat your wire up a little. You come from the top if you want. I mean, you come from the top. Heat it all up, heat it all up, heat it all up, heat it all up, heat, 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 heat. Just for a certain amount of time, depending on what you got your temperature on. Okay, now I'm going to heat from the bottom. So it can just slide through easier. The hotter the better. And that's what that's about. The hotter the better. So, pretty sure that's getting hot. And that's hot enough. So let me kick this back some so you guys can see and I can see. And I'm just going to coat this a little. And just heat it up and let it just sink right in. Now I usually go all the way around, and then I come back with a knife and let it sink in. I don't like to let mine just sink through the top. If I can see it sitting on the top, then if I sit it under the bottom, then it'll seep through. So and if you look at it, you'll see it seeping through. So, and you add a little pressure if you want. Just a little pressure. Just remember, not too much heat, because this is shrinking now. Your heat shrink is shrinking, or it will shrink on you. Okay. Now, and like I said, I don't have the proper equipment to solder. I don't have my little stand or whatever, so I'm making it work for me, I guess. So what I'm going to do is remember my sides. If you're not, too sure or first time, just have it sitting here in front of you, and you'll see, black to black. So what you do, spin this around now. So what you do, make sure I got you guys, you can see this. Okay, now, and like I said, I'm sure, I'm positive, my wires are right here, black to black, because you'll always find out later. If you have to, you can put a piece of shrink wrap on over this to cover this, or some kind of tie to keep it out of your way. So, what I'm going to do is make sure I got the right side to the right side that I want to solder it to. Heat this a little, just a little, and take this in. And kind of complicated, but it's going to work for me. Watch. And the XT90s are great because you can just actually sit it there and just heat them up, and it'll stick. And actually, you'll see it melting and all. Just smash in a little, and then you're good. If you come underneath, heat underneath a little, make sure you got that nice and hot. Okay, and then you hit back on the top. And just like I'm doing here, guys. It's just that simple. I know a lot of people are worried about electric and scared of electric and things like that, but just gotta respect it. Okay, hold it for a while. You can blow on it and all, and blow on it. Then let it set. Now, from here, if you feel comfortable with what you got, you can leave it, or you can add a little more. And with me, I always like to add a little more, because you want those wires completely covered, completely. Okay, got my solder on, and I'm going down. There it is. To me, that's a good connection. You clean off these little edges here, guys. Don't ever leave those things like that. I would not ever advise anyone to leave edges, little balls, or anything like that. Just clean it up much as possible. Make the flow go as smooth as possible. And there it is. Now that's your first piece there. Let it sit for a sec. Check both sides. Now, if you're going to have to touch this back to it again, you just make sure you don't just hold it to it. You just tap. You'll see. If you hold it to it and start to manipulating the solder on there, you can loosen the whole thing back up, and then you'll have to start all over again. And I don't think you will like that. Okay, that looks pretty smooth around the bottom part. Now let me make sure I get my ends, and I'm good to go. Like I said, guys, this is just my technique here, but I feel more comfortable doing it this way here, you know. And the more it heats you, that's another problem that you can have. So you just got to be careful on the heat that you add on here. You don't want a real high temp. So and that's it. And a lot of people use bigger tips, but I like to use the smaller tips because I like to make sure I seal it all the way in there. I know you can cover more with a bigger tip, but I like this little tip so it goes right in. And just like it did. No air pockets, no nothing like that where I have to touch the whole thing again. I don't want to have to touch the whole thing again. I just want to be able to put it there and just keep moving. Okay, now here's your test, guys. So remember, you got to take it off again, and as you see, it slides freely. So I would say that was well done. Let me come back out. When I snipped it, I didn't use something sharp. So yeah, it was my fault again, you know. So whatever. But it's something that can be fixed, but you know what to do, not, you know, use something so dull. Which I've been trying to do this video for a while. A lot of people have been asking, and you know, in groups that I'm in and things like that. I'm on Facebook too, and they'll ask me about groups, you know, groups ask about soldering and things like that, and I'll tell them it's so easy, this, that, and explain it, but a lot of people find it better when they see it. So, and that's that, guys. Just like that. And that's soldering done. Now, after that, you want to hit your other side now. So, double check. Oh, where's my... No torch, no lighter, no nothing down here? Oh, okay, I'm about to wait a minute. Where's my torch, my lighter, something? Then you just take a lighter or so, something with a flame. You can use the same stick if you want. I mean, you can use your knife if you want it and just melt it down. And it'll shrink right on. With this heat shrink, this is the best heat shrink I've had so far. It has some kind of like gluey substance on the inside that actually sticks to plastic too. So here it is, guys, and I'm gonna show you again. You can snip now. Like I said, you know, just snip. Both wires are not touching. You can still snip. So, and there will be the parts that you feel, you know, not so comfortable. And that's it. You can touch this all you want. Just don't touch them both. Done deal. Now, let me tap this side. Let me hit this side a little bit. Here, I go grabbing a lighter to melt my solder. Oh, jeez. I almost took myself out of here, I guess. I burned my fingertips all off. Okay, and this is another way I've seen people doing it. And, you know, I'm going to show you both ways I've seen it. I'm not going to hate on somebody else's technique. And like I said, I've seen people do it, you know, and I was just wondering, like, well, if you could do it that way, you can do it other ways too. And I like to find other ways to do things too. So the first way was more or less my way. as far as how do you get the solder on here. The second way is this here. People will just hold it on there and just let it run down, and they see, you can see it sinking in. But me myself, I don't see it. So I like to just hit the top a little and melt it in there and put it all around it. And then I see it seep in a little more better that way. You know, so I don't know. I just like it doing it this. I like to do it this way here. The way that I'm doing. But you can't have the knife to your solder too long, guys, and that's one thing you have to remember. You know, you'll just tear that up. It'll be just a waste of time. Okay, let me just dab it, dab all the way around. And it's just carrying it all the way around. So, you know, and that's what I'm doing. Now, it's all around, and I'm just going to just spin it a few times. So I can let it drop down in there, come down on the wire a little lower so it runs down inside the wires. And you'll see the shape changing on this. Like you'll even see the solder just coming down to your wires. So yeah, that one's pretty much like it's noticeable. Obvious, however you want to call it. Now what I'm gonna do with mine's here, and here we go again. This is why I like my XT90s. Because you could just stick them in almost. But, you know, just make sure you let your wires cool as they should. See? That's why I like my XT90s. You can sit it in there with a little bit, you know, a little, make the solder a little rigid. So it can like kind of grab in there, give it ridges or so. Now let me come underneath. Underneath. That should be hot enough because I had this thing on a high temp. You know, so all those little shards, whatever, however you want to call them, of metal, flatten all of that out in there. Okay, let that cool. Now, as it's cooling, I need another piece of solder ready so I can hit the sides. Oops. So I can hit the sides here. Alright, this furnace is definitely in the way. Okay, here we go. I don't know why I have the glue up there, all of this extra stuff in the way too. Just clear the area, guys. I know. I'm not showing a good example on that part. Had a couple guys say something about the head cracking up. Talked about, you know, I need to clean the back, but they were looking at the back of the basement, whereas though I had a little work area. Shit. Excuse me, language. Excuse me, French. Alright, you can also do the XT90s this way, guys, too. And just keep those press, melt, 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 melt. Okay, and we good to go. I'm smoothing this out a little so it holds. Actually, I have to get a better knife. I mean, better. This gauge just keeps getting snagged on the edge of the table. That's why everything is just shaking so much. So, yeah, that's been the issue for the whole time. New table, too, so, hey, we working it out here. My little workshop is coming together. Okay, that's there. Let me get this out of the way. Smoothing that out some. Okay. Now let it cool for a sec. And then this one, actually, I came down further on this one, guys. I actually came down to almost the plastic here. So I had a little extra on here because I still have some on there. And I'm just going to hit these little areas, smoothing it out so I can get my shrink wrap, my heat shrink over. And that's that. Smooth it out. There we go. There we go. Now, that's it for that. Now, what you do is, like I said, still be easy. It still has to cool. And it cools rather fast, so just be patient, guys. Like I said, you don't want your wire to shrink too early on you. Then you have to resolder and blah, blah, blah. You know how it goes. Well, now you do. Okay, what we got here? Let's flip the battery. Slide the shrink wrap on. That's why I should have used something sharper. Okay, so I have to stretch it now. And that's what happens when you don't use the proper things. You know, I was supposed to use some kind of scissors or so to cut this stuff. Which it does cut easy. But hey, what did this guy do? Now I have ridges. So, let me just snap those off and come up now. Okay. Up. Up. There it is. Now, what you can do now, the same thing you did with the other. Hit it with a lighter or your knife, maybe a couple times. Because you want to try not to hit the wire for the battery, or you don't want to hit this too much. And this guy just slides right on up. And that's on. And just ease them over. Ease that one over. And slide them up. See? And they fasten in place. There we go. That's that. And I have to get my other connector off, which I have fingernails, so it's kind of difficult for me, guys. Okay, it's coming off. And it is a tight fit. And there you have it. Pick it up. Camera up so you can see and get a different view of what it is. And here you have it. Change over. Done deal. Same battery actually, but different case. But here you have it. Alright guys. Hit that like, subscribe. Let me know what you think about it.